What is going on, Honest Truth?
Hey, what's going on, Anton?
Chilling,
Long
chilling,
time
my
watcher,
friend.
man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you and your platform, bro. Keep on rocking.
Thank you.
Uh, Thank you, man. So I'll make it short and sweet. I've really been a fan of Kanye for a long time. He's really my favorite rapper. He's my favorite artist. Top five, in my opinion, to ever do it.
I agree.
And appreciate that. And I think what he is good at is being spot on the money at every turn of his career. Whatever he does, he's spot on the money, whether it's fashion, music, and in this case politics. We're at a polarizing time in this nation right now, man, where we just got off of a Black Lives Matter multi-billion-dollar campaign to try and push the awareness, the knowledge of what's been happening politically and with police and everything like that inside of black cultures. But also at the same time, we're having a wokeness and awareness within ourselves that sometimes we are our own worst enemies as well. So
Mm.
as black people, we're in a really polarizing position because, and this is something that I never heard anybody said. I thought of this the other day. We're the only people in the world that don't have a home country, black Americans. We're the only people where we can't go back to our own country of people that look like us really and plug in automatically because there's such a vast difference in culture between
Mm-hmm.
us and Africans here
Mm-hmm.
in America, right? So what's happening is we're having this wokeness, this realization, and some of us are waking up. Kanye woke up a long time ago, and money does help you do that as well. I don't know if y'all remember when Dave Chappelle joked about being a Democrat until he became rich,
Yep.
and then he joked about voting for Trump on stage, and everybody laughed about it, but it's true to some extent there are benefits that you get. Obviously we're not going to get too deep into that right now. Going back to Kanye and the White Lives Matter comments, the biggest thing about it that rubs a lot of people the wrong way is the truth about a lot of aspects about what that shirt mentions and what Kanye talks about. So obviously the White Lives Matter isn't trying to, and I don't think they're trying to, him and Candace Owens, make it seem like white people are more important per
No, they
se,
didn't even
but they're
speak
trying to.
on white people specifically when they talked about and
Right.
addressed the whole White Lives Matters t-shirts.
Right, exactly. But it's been convoluted and kind of interpreted as this really coonish type behavior, right? And that's not the case at all. What it is, it's a conversation starter for us to really have these conversations like you're doing now on your platform, Anton. So shout out to you of how we kind of do each other in a different light, and we don't acknowledge that, right? So we know that Black Lives Matter, cool. That's all fine and dandy. But what's happening now, Anton, is we're starting to speak about everything in our community that needs a lot of work. And here's where the big issue is, right? Here's where the big issue is, and I'll finish off with this.
Mm-hmm.
The White Lives Matter shirt being such an issue with with a lot of black people is telling, because it almost puts reality of, and I'm not, a lot of people are going to get upset at this, it almost puts the reality of our community to light. We can be racist. I don't,
Oh,
I don't,
absolutely.
I don't, I don't
100%.
know if y'all know this, but like, I mean, just imagine this for a second. But imagine, you're a white person, and you see all these black people getting upset because there's a White Lives Matter shirt, even though I, as a white person, have just been pushing Black Lives Matter for years. You know what I'm saying? So there's a really big issue going on right here, and that's that we can't even see ourselves as being racist. Like, you ask a black person, can you be racist? They're like, no, of course you can't be racist. We're black. We can't be racist in America. That's an issue. But also on top of that issue, you and this blind racism that a lot of black people just don't see that we can have will start to create legitimate racism in this country as well. Y'all, I don't know, but wake up. And I think a lot of us need to wake up to the position of the 14% of this country that we're in. And I'm not telling you to live in fear. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
telling you to this to do that. But we as black people owning 2% of the wealth in America, we own very little. We have very little roots in this country. And for whatever reason or another, there's an agenda to try and prod and wake up this giant lion and to divide ourselves and to start this civil misery amongst each other. And I'm telling you right now, nobody wants that, but least of us, the most minoritied, we don't want that situation, and we don't want those problems. There's a lot of issues that something or some entity is trying to stir up. But what Kanye is doing is he's actually trying to solve those issues a bit and connect the bridge. I get it, y'all. Slavery happened. I get it that there was a lot of bad stuff that happened. It's 2022 now. At some point or another, we're going to have to wake up and realize that that we weren't, our parents weren't, and their parents weren't. But if we keep letting certain things and agendas divide us, we're going to be divided one day, just like we were back then.
Do
That's
you
all I wanted
think
to say.
that part of I have a theory personally, right? And my theory is the reason why we'll never make any progress or we haven't made any progress and we actually continue to go backwards is because I think that there's a I don't want to say the OGs. I'm gonna say older generation still is at the helm. And I think that they have a narrative that's actually pushing us backwards instead of propelling us forward, right? I think that there's people in power and people in positions of authority. Some of the people, in my opinion, is Roland Martin, Jesse Jackson, those type of people, right? And even when it comes to a lot of these pundits and people that are on these platforms or people that have a voice and so on and so forth, I believe that those are our biggest barriers. I don't think that it has anything to do with white people. I don't think it has anything to do with a system. I do think that Hollywood and our media plays a huge role in it. But I think that largely one of the reasons why there's a lack of progress is because the people that are supposed to be having the conversations, they don't have as big as a platform or the microphone as the ones that are at the forefront of having these conversations, such as the ones that support the Black Lives Matters organization itself, right? What do you think about that? What do you think is the biggest hindrance as far as progress when it comes to economic wealth? Because I'll even give you an example to illustrate my point, right? When a lot of the old people or old guard highlight economic wealth, as you indicated, 2% of the wealth in the country, right? They're asking for a handout. They're not asking for information. They're asking for empowerment in the form of some form of a handout or economic opportunity or whatever. I believe that the biggest progress that the Black community can make in itself is to be less dependent on the federal government, less dependent on handouts, less dependent on stimuluses, less dependent on the government titty in order to make sure that they pull themselves into a position of power by then empowering themselves by being more forceful when it comes to their consumer spending habits, ownership, all of this type of stuff. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on, and I'll kind of build off of that. So there's a couple of fundamental concepts. I saw the comments, and of course, I'm not going to bring too many of them to light. But so many people are saying, "Oh, quote, just get over racism." Oh, here's another one where the past doesn't matter, right? And this is what I have to say to this, and to every person, and not just to Black people, because all races have endured slavery in the past. It just so happens that for whatever reason or another, ours was very interestingly long, right? Now, I understand that it happened, and that's all fine and dandy. But the solution is just as you stated, whether it's 1500 or whether it's the year 2022,
Mm-hmm.
and that is that the strength of the community is what's going to carry you through whatever types of external, whatever is outside influences are trying to destroy your community. It can't happen if you have a tight enough household that your family members aren't going to bend and shake. It can't happen if you have a tight enough community to where people aren't going to sell each other short or sell each other out. So the answer at the end of the day does come back to, once again, the strength of each individual person in the community. Now, the problem is this, Anton. The problem is that we grow up in a certain area and demographic, once again, going to that money and the lack of money that creates a scarcity mindset inside of us. When you grow up in the hood, when you grow up in these areas that a lot of us unfortunately grew up in, and we don't have the strength of the community to provide resources and backing and safety and security, your mind starts to envelop or enshroud itself in the scarcity mindset because you don't have enough security, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough this, and you don't have enough that. Also, as a side effect, you don't ever really have the chance to face your problems head on because you don't have the resources to do so. So, what do you say? Well, you go ahead and you build a habit or a lifestyle of looking or blaming others or whatever it might be. And I'm not saying that everybody does this, but I'm saying that when you don't have resources and functions and things in check to put people and communities in the right positions to thrive or to correct them or to get them started in this race of the life race on the right start, when there's no guidance, then everybody has to figure out their own way. And so that's what we have happening right now. We have a lot of people in the community who are raised to positions who didn't really have the know-how, who didn't have the backing. We don't have generational wisdom. We don't have generational economic infrastructure and fortification. We don't have as much knowledge. But the people that are risen to knowledge in our culture, a lot of the times, are the ones who are just as lost as we are. And having money doesn't change that necessarily. What does change that is having vision. When you have vision and when you have drive, when you have people that are willing to sacrifice for the community, and this is something else I hear a lot about. We joke about when we get money, man, moving out of the hood. How many times have you joked about, man, I can't wait till I get some money to get away from y'all, right? We joke about creating our own demise even when we make it monetarily. So it's the White Lives Matter shirt is saying a lot more about a good amount of black people than it is white people in this case. And that's what Kanye nailed. He nailed it. He nailed it. And this is why Charleston White is also starting. And I don't mean to name drop, but forgive me, yo.
No, you cool. I'm
This is
cool
why
with Charleston. That's my guy.
go ahead, bro. This is why other people are starting to become more woke, if you will. We're starting to say, hey, you know what? That makes sense. Yeah, Anton, you know what? That kind of makes sense. Yeah, I don't fully agree with it, but okay, listen, y'all. If the reparations never come, then what? At some point or another, this is the question, Anton. At some point or another, this is the question. What is black people's ultimate goal? Is your ultimate goal to bring the image of the land that you live in down? Here's the thing. Is is it so bad here? And if it's so bad here, what exactly do you plan on doing about it? You only have two options. And the option that we're headed to right now is not an option that most humans want to head towards. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You only have two options. You can stay and when in Rome, do as the Romans do, or you can leave. And as a good amount of blacks have done, and we're starting to do it as we become more educated and build for ourselves, you can make a very good lifestyle for yourself in America, irrespective of race. Are there racist people? Absolutely, there are. I'm in Texas. Let me tell you, I know some. I've worked with some racist people, man. All right, but that's not going to stop me, or will it?